Hello, classmates. Welcome to the Red River Report. My name is Liam Nickel. I'm the multimedia editor for the Projector, Red River's student newspaper, and this is our podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of our 2024 fall term. Today I'm speaking with Austin Boulton, who is a local artist and author, and also owns Fantasy Club Books, a shop that sells self-published zines, comics, and other little art pieces. Thanks again. I'm glad you're here, and let's jump right in.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So, do you sell a lot of like books, like novels, or is it mostly?
No, so
comics?
I actually I don't sell any books at all. I only sell comics, and people always said or I always think too. It's like it's so stupid to own a comic book store in this day and age when it's not popular at all and no one's really interested in it as much. It's a very niche group. So I thought I would trick people a little bit by calling my store Fantasy Club Books and to be like, oh, there's books. There's no books at all. It's all comics. But I don't know, Fantasy Club Comics works too. Fantasy Club, but it all works, but I eventually do want to I would like to have like a bigger store with like a book and comic and graphic novel and yeah, because I don't know, the graphic novels look like books on the shelf.
Yeah.
It tricks people again with that.
I'm always pleasantly surprised when I open a book and it's a graphic novel. I'm like, yeah, this is one I could have fun reading.
The covers get you. Like if a good cover attracts you. That's why I love book covers so much. Like old sci-fi, like 50s, 60s novels look sick as hell, but I never want to read them because it's like the pacing's awful. It's all old. Like I don't know, I'm just not into it. I'd rather watch a movie or TV show. But the covers, like the Dune, or like what's that? With the dolphins.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Those had sick covers. There's I don't know, like Dragon Lance or some shit that just looks sick as hell. But I'd rather like media has expanded so much where kids and people, they don't have they have so many options now. You could get your fantasy fix. I like that. You get your fantasy fix from like TV shows, movies, video games. You could get it from comic books or books, but we live in a day and age where physical media is dying. So people are just going after, not comics or books right now. So it's weird. It's like, I think if you're like me and that likes tactile and like to feel something, it's awesome to walk into my store. And that's what I really like.
Yeah. There is something special about being able to get something that you can
touch and
hold
feel,
and own and have in your room.
Yeah.
I really like that. But it is hard to compete with the crazy Netflix
Marvel
specials
movies.
And the Marvel cinematic universe and all that. What do you feel like, in your view, separates comics and zines and all those from other forms of media?
I guess is that it's almost like a musical. It has like literature and art, and it has, you could say it has graphic design and it has poetry. Whereas like a musical has it has dancing, acting, and singing, right? So it's like a combination of everything put together, and it's usually an amalgamate of so many efforts. Like to be a good comic book writer and artist, you have to be good at writing and drawing. And if you're not good enough, you could do one or the other, which is even better. You get 2 minds working on it, 3 minds, I think that's what separates it a lot too, is that it's just like this big combination of graphic and literature and creative writing and creative drawing. And it's just perfect mix. It's this kind of crossroads, and it's so sad that we've kind of gone away from that.
I wanted to ask something because I said the word zine.
Oh yeah, zine.
And people know what comics are.
Yeah.
People know what books are, but zine is a word that maybe has some people scratching their heads. So what is that?
So I'm so happy that you're asking that, because we're at my store, or everyone around Winnipeg doesn't know the phrase zine, and I'm like, it's been around since the 80s and 90s. It's been around forever. And it's it's basically the shortening of like a magazine. That's how I see it, like magazine. You just take out the mega, put in zine. It's just zine. People call it zine. I think it's kind of weird. It just doesn't really roll off the tongue as zine. So it's a preference, though. You could say it however way you like. This is kind of like one of those things where Yanni Laurel, whatever. But it's a zine is usually geared towards just a small publication. It could be art zine, it could be a poetry zine, it could be a comic zine, it could be a mix of all three. You're basically making a mini magazine that's self-published and small. And it's like it blew up definitely in like the 90s. Trying to get information out when it's inaccessible for you because the government's controlling everything. Yeah, we're going to the Joe Rogan podcast here. Zines, conspiracies, everything. Yeah. It's a great way to inform people about things. So back in the 90s, there wasn't computers as much. You don't have access to stuff, so they would be making self-publications and getting out your word out there. So that's, and you get out your art out there faster, and you get out, political things or, a lot of feminists and zines were huge. That was a big thing. You can still find lots of Winnipeg feminist zine collective groups and stuff all around Winnipeg. It's still I think they're still going. There's a group going around still, but
fantastic.
Zines are cool, and it could be whatever you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
The definition that I kind of gathered for zines just from coming into contact with them were just any magazines, but I like them. Because I don't find myself drawn to the magazines that you see going up to check out at the grocery store or something.
Yeah.
But when it's something, I don't know. Zines I always like to look
called
through.
Sophisticated, Harvard scientists say it's called the lo-fi effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it what that is it's because it's lo-fi, because it's handmade, you're actually more attracted because it seems like you could do it.
Yeah.
That's why everyone liked Mac DeMarco when it came out, because it told everybody, hey, you can make music in your home, in your basement. You can make comics and zines at home in your basement or in an office, whatever. So that's a big appeal. But it also, there's two sides to that. There's people that don't like that at all. So you're either like a lo-fi, homemade person or a not. Some people love that pristine, clean, I'm going to put a bunch of money into it kind of look.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. You can also do that with a zine too. Yeah, they don't have to be handmade. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So where did the name and the fantasy theme?
I guess my dark origin story is that during COVID, I started doing more art, and I started just living. I was living in Toronto, and it was really expensive, but it was locked down, so I couldn't do anything. So I just sat in parks and in my apartment drawing lots, and I focused more on my art and what I could do with it. And also, I wasn't getting CERB, so I needed money. So what I was doing is I was drawing and making products to sell and doing portraits and just trying to do as much freelance as I could by drawing and using my talents. And then that blossomed into Basement Lagoon, which is kind of like my underlining brand. And then I was like, it's like, I can't do much with this, it'd be cool if I could own a store. It'd be really cool if I had a store. And I guess you go even farther back, I've always wanted to open up a comic book shop since I was a kid, and I never thought it could be a thing because there's already comic book shops already exist. It's already hard to run, and I would never have enough money to open up one. And when I saw this kind of gap in Winnipeg when I came back from COVID, I was like, no one's selling niche comics. And whenever I go to Toronto or Vancouver or Chicago and New York, I go to all these cool niche comic book stores, and I spend $200, $300 because I don't have access to them in small Winnipeg. So my idea is I'm going to be kind of like a dealer of niche comics and open up people's minds and expose more people to indie comics, basically, and let people get a chance to be exposed to. There was just no real room for it in Winnipeg. So building the space was really important to me. I started doing pop-ups at Riley Gray, and I did like I think Third and Bird or Lucky Girl, one of the kind of markets. I started doing that, and it really well. Like people would come to me and spend like $90 just on a couple books, and like it made me really happy that people were interested in that. And I had a lot of people cheering me on and doing it, and having my art background, I did all my promo stuff except for my logo because I wanted the sick fantasy logo for it. And at the time of the name and the logo, I was really into playing Dark Souls. That was the huge thing. I told Jean, he's this Toronto artist who does tattoos named Elder Ghoul. I told him, I was like, yo, I need you to, he does the best fantasy art. Like if you look up Elder Ghoul on Instagram, he does the best fantasy art. I was like, I want a guy with knives and arrows coming out of his back, and he's reading a book, and it just looks like a regular Dark Souls guy. And then he made me literally the most perfect logo. Like I was just really into Dark Souls, really into fantasy stuff. And now I feel like I'm kind of ahead of the curve with the fantasy trend. Like you see Chappell Roan and Lord of the Rings coming back. Game of Thrones is really, big, used to be, but still pretty big. You see like Drake and Post Malone do fantasy stuff, like kind of fantasy stuff is coming back. And I think that I've always been into fantasy stuff, so I'm glad to see it out there more. Oh, Dungeons and Dragons is really big again, the movie, and kids and Stranger Things. So like, yeah, fantasy stuff is like becoming kind of like the new Marvel. Yeah. Where it's like nerdy stuff is actually cool. Yeah. So sweet. Yeah, Chappell Roan, like
I didn't know that. Is she doing a fantasy
That's
thing?
kind of like what her thing is. She was like prom queen, drag, but then she did her MTV thing. I thought it was on MTV. Oh geez, I'm spitting lies. I'm sorry. I think it was MTV, but she did a big performance where she dressed up in like armor, and all her backup dancers had like chainmail on them, and then there was like flames and a castle in the back.
That's amazing.
You could I'm going to get Liam here to put a link in there. You can watch that.
I'll put it up on the screen if I'm able to.
Chappell Roan.
Because that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't done the deep dive on Chappell Roan yet, but
more of a Charlie fan right now. Yeah, more of a Brat fan than a Chappell Roan fan, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You can like what you like.
Yeah.
It was a Brat summer for sure. So D&D, you do some D&D stuff with your shop, don't you?
Yeah. So when I first made my store at Riley Gray, after doing pop-ups, I actually moved in with the owner of Riley Gray, and they had space in their room after someone left out of a room, and we were going to make this secret entrance to like a comic book and blind box store. And it was really cool. It had like vines hanging down and like pink brick walls. And we had like a glowing portal kind of thing. And you kind of get transported. But the problem with having a secret room is you get less traffic and people are scared. Like I literally saw customers be like, oh, I don't want to go through the door. I'm scared. So I'm like, this is actually hindering sales so much. And they would have, when I'm not there, they would have to staff it. So it made more sense to move all my stuff to the front of the store, to the back of the store, and where the coffee shop was, Riley Gray, shout out. And now the back room is empty, and we host events there. We do comic book workshops, and we do D&D. We do another game called Mouse Ritter. We also do collage, drawing, and we do like sewing workshops. And if you want to do a workshop, you could also rent out the room too. Yeah. Sweet. But the main thing we do there is D&D because we do it 2 or 4 times a month, and I love it. It kind of fits in with my fantasy thing. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Have you played D&D?
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. It definitely took a sec to get over the just weird feeling of
role playing. Yeah.
But it definitely helps if you're like with a bunch of people who are just into it.
Yeah.
And
I've always been in I did musical theater and like acting classes when I was younger, and like acting camps and stuff. So like role playing is just kind of like improv and acting. Yeah. So it's great, and it's so funny that like it's like a nerdy kind of like nerdy, what's the word? I guess like wallflower type person, right? Like, but it helps you so much come out of your shell. So it's like super good mental health and like helps you socially. D&D is super sick for really anybody, even for people that need to talk a lot all the time. It's good for them, or people that don't like to talk also kind of explore themselves too through D&D. It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your character like?
Let me see if I can remember. Man, the only thing I can remember is that one of his, what are they called? Bonds
Okay.
was, I think it's bonds. Is there something else that's like bonds as
I
well?
think Bonds is good.
Was that he was like the last surviving member of whatever his tribe was.
Like
and it was his like life mission to repopulate his kind.
I really like that. Oh, so you played like a stud, right?
Yeah. So every time we came up with a potential mate for this guy, he was trying to rizz her up for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. I guess you were more of a bard then, or you were a bard class? Were you like, did your character play like music or?
I don't remember. It was a campaign where we
was it homemade?
We
or
did like a full kind of randomized character creation.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I remember him being like some sort of giant or something.
That's sick. Do you guys have a club here? A Red River
I don't think
D&D
so.
club? Yeah, you guys are too busy studying to play D&D.
Except I don't think we are. I think we should.
You could do a Red River D&D club, yeah.
Yeah. That's
It'd be fun because it would get students together and role play, kind of take your mind off of like the stress of school and stuff. But, I don't know. It's fun. I thought you guys would. I feel like maybe they probably did in the past.
Yeah, they might. And it's just, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
But if we don't, we should.
Yeah. D&D is so much fun.
No kidding.
Come play it at Riley Gray.
Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'll put a link.
There's the link. Again there.
Do you make comics? Right? Or no?
Here's the thing. I'm more of a business person now.
Okay.
I went from music industry stuff to art to more business. Unfortunately, I still make comics, but I find that it's easier to sell other people's comics than to make my own because it takes like, if you follow a comic book artist, like let's say Jasper Juvenile, he's like a big Vancouver comic book artist that I love. Let's say you follow him on Instagram, he just posts, "Oh, I'm just working on you maybe see him go to a concert like once a month, maybe, but he's just at home drawing every day. Right. And so comics like can consume your life, and I find it hard to work with balance and art. So. Yeah, like if it was COVID, I would make like 100,000 comics and art and stuff. But I have to work a full-time job and work my store and live my life, see my family. So have a cat, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
But it's not impossible. For people that are living with your parents, you should take that opportunity and create something. A brand, jewelry, art, whatever, because it's so sick when you have that free time. And I really wish I could live with my parents and like make comics all day. That sounds sick.
Yeah. Good advice.
Yeah. I have to work at a glasses store now to fund my own store.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it does seem like a bit of a smart decision in a lot of ways to, focus on selling and promoting other people's comics, because you kind of get the diversity of the audiences, and it's kind of like rising tide lifts all boats type of thing, and just getting more people into the scene.
That's the thing is that I'm learning so much from meeting all these other artists, and everyone inspires me, and so I want to inspire other people too, and we're just one big inspirational group in Canada. I meet so many Canadian artists and Winnipeg artists, and it's like I see them make something, I want to make this, and then it's different, not copying them, but I want to collaborate with them or help them put out their book or zine. I want to answer people's questions, and I want and then people answer my questions too, and I've always been attracted to a sense of community. I grew up as an only child. So I'm always very drawn to communities and be a part of communities. And I have done this several times where I've just made my own community up, and that's what I'm doing now. It's like the comic community is very slim, but it's building up, and we have Prairie Comics Festival, which is October 4th or 5th or something like. It's in October, early October.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's in a couple weeks. And that's like an amalgamation of just every comic book artist in Winnipeg getting together, selling their zines. And then we have some people from Toronto. So yeah, like I'm trying to help this community as much as I can. But I would love to make comics again. And I would like to draw more, but I'm into making more like stickers and like posters and like album art for people. It's just kind of like one-off things. Comics are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not undoable though, again. Like you can still do it, but hard for me. I don't have the attention span.
Yeah. And I mean, they would be bigger projects than, making stickers or a singular, art piece or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this whole world is new to anyone listening, check it out. I had the privilege of attending a workshop that was hosted in your shop, and it was put on by you, but the person who was doing the workshop was Rael McGregor.
Yeah, and they're really cool queer Métis artists. You should check them out. Rael will be at Prairie Comics Festival as well. And if you want to pick up her books as well, I have she has I think 10 different books at my store right now. She's just like a machine, just pumping out web comics and regular comics and children's books, queer stuff. She has a Zelda trans fanfic, and she has like one called Ghost Bros, and it's two bros that hunt ghosts, but then they slowly fall in love with each other. Like, I don't know, she has really fun stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. We got to. She taught us how to do good storytelling, which is awesome. Even if you don't think that you're gonna be telling stories in your life, I think you'd be surprised when it comes up. We got to. She passed around some of her work, and I had to hold myself back from just like reading the full Zelda fanfic. Yeah, right there. I had to okay, pay attention.
Do you like Zelda?
I love Zelda. Yeah.
I've only played Breath of the Wild. I'm such a
and that's
big fan, but I love Breath of the Wild.
It's such a good game. Yeah. So at least you've got a good one. Yeah. I mean, they're all good, but that's great. But you said something at that workshop that I found really interesting. We were talking, I think you were sharing about some story or comic you had written, and it just ended very sad. It had a sad ending, and you said, my stuff just always has sad endings.
It does. They always do.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I guess I was talking about the new one I made. It's for a Winnipeg comic anthology called Comrade, and you can find them around the city. We're on issue 7 now. I'm going to be in the 8th one, and it's about this office that grows a mushroom out of the computer, and it's like sizzling and it's like very psychedelic, and the office is freaking out. They're like, oh my god, why is this cute baby basically like baby Yoda mixed with a mushroom? It's like oh my god, like he's so cute, I love him. And everyone hops on this trend of loving him, and then the more you love him, the bigger he grows. So he becomes this humongous fat mushroom that is just sitting there really cute, and everyone's worshiping him. And then the story is called Trends. So like trends rise, they also fall. And I had only 2 pages, so I just ended it really fast by saying, trends die pretty much. And so they produced like music and merchandise, and people got sick of it, so much of it. And that the trend slowly died, and then as the fandom leaves, the mushroom gets smaller and smaller until you see him on like a side of a road covered in soot. People walking by him. He's just like in like a puddle. He's really sad, and in the last bit it says, "Until we just kind of forget about him." It's just yeah, like that. I don't know. I didn't know how to end it, so I just ended really sad. Like, and I've done that a lot. Yeah, I just kind of I don't know how to end things, so I'll just end it sad. I guess easier to make something sad than it is to make it happy. I don't know.
I definitely find that.
Yeah.
There is something like, I don't know, especially impactful about just when it ends like that and you're like, huh? Because I feel like people are just so used to, the fact that stories, have a happy ending, or at least like there's some sort of resolution. It can be very hard to figure out how your story goes from the sad part to any sort of resolution.
Yeah.
But yeah, I make music and
maybe I have heard of your name before. Maybe that's where. Do you have a band
for
a
long time I made music under the name Paperboy, but
I only know that from Atlanta, the TV show. Yeah,
and that's why I have changed the name because
you don't look like him at all.
You don't look like because that's all I got. And I actually came up with that name first.
Oh wow!
Because I used to deliver papers when I was like 13 years old. I had a paper route.
Yeah.
And I would just throw my headphones on and deliver the papers. And that's really the time when I fell in love with music. So and I
think the name. Eventually you were to change your name anyway. Like King Cruel used to go by Kid Zoo, I think. Zoo Kid, something like that. And he was like, oh, I don't want to be a kid anymore. There's a lot of artists that like Little and like Kid Cudi. It's like it's kind of weird. You're like like a 40-year-old man and you're going by Kid.
Yeah.
So eventually you probably wanted to switch Paperboy anyway.
Yeah.
Just Paperman.
Paperman, mailman.
Oh, that actually I've heard of a music group called Paperman Baby, I think.
Paperman Baby.
I'm pretty sure that exists. Yeah.
I love band names like that. Rainbow Kitten Surprise is a good one.
There's that what's that rainbow butterfly thing?
I don't know.
Oh, it sounded like I can't remember the name. I'm bad with names.
But when I would make music, and still, I think I just always would write sad songs. If you know anything about music, I would use minor chords. I would make minor chord progressions, and that's all I could do. Like I just could not bring myself to make it. It does sound good.
So good. Like Elliott Smith, and Mount Erie, Andy Schaaf. You listen to the songs and it just hurts you. Yeah.
But there's something like weirdly, I don't know, like happy in a way about just listening to a super sad song.
Oh, totally.
But I had to like just force myself and try to learn how to write something happier. And it was hard. I was like, this is so weird. I didn't like realize that I was going to have these like very firm creative instincts that were going to take work to bust out of.
I should do that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just negative more. We're just like we always think about the negative things. We don't really think about the positive things.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's a couple albums I listen to that are happy, and it's like it makes you feel better. At the end of the day, if you're listening to murder podcasts and listening to sad music, and you start only thinking about the bad things. But if you start listening, there's a really happy album called Thank You by the Elwins. It came out in like 2015. It's like a weird Canadian band, and that album was like one of the first happy albums I listened to.
Nice.
And it's just it's all about love and romance, and I guess the same thing, but I guess like first love and like hanging out on the summer day, and it's very nice. I love happy music now.
Yeah, one of my favorite albums is called Nurture, and it's by a guy named Porter Robinson.
Yeah, I know Porter Robinson. He does it's like almost like EDM.
Yeah.
And now he's more hyper pop-y kind of.
Yeah, his latest album, definitely a lot of hyper pop influence. Yeah. But the one before, Nurture, was like a really interesting blend of like EDM and almost like folky, like lo-fi kind of music. And there's some very
Caribou? Do you know Caribou?
Yes.
Is it kind of like Caribou?
A little bit in some ways.
I'm trying to picture this. I've never really listened to Porter Robinson. My coworker really likes.
Should do it.
Yeah.
But I like that album because it goes like it is a very happy and uplifting album, but I think the only reason it is so effective in being like hopeful and uplifting is because it does go to like some dark places in it, and like, you know, just goes through a very honest journey of getting out of the dark places and like properly paying off, you know, once you get to the happy parts.
And that's the whole album's like that, like a journey.
Yeah. Why do you think people, and especially young people, should care about comics and zines in this world?
I don't think you have to care about it.
Okay.
I don't think
you can leave now. You can click off the podcast.
I don't think you have to like care. But it's something that I think everyone should explore in their own way. Being creative. I've met so many people that they're like, oh, I can't draw, but I know they're good at Crecom. They're good at writing. So you can do that. It's just, you should care about it if you want to be creative in your life, I guess. Yeah. But if you know, you don't have to care. You don't have to care about anything. You could make zines about not caring too. That's a weird, it's a tough question because
it's pretty open.
Well, who really cares? You know, like, that's the thing about comics and zines is not a lot of people care anymore.
Right.
I'm trying to bring a revival back. You know, if like cassettes and records could stay afloat, I'm sure comics and zines can. And, you know, I think you should care about your peers' art a lot. And that goes in with zines. You should care about your community and how you can help it and promote it, you know? I wouldn't say care about just zines, but you should care about your friends' music and share it and go see concerts. And, you know, that's, you know, like, there's lots of things to care about in the arts community. And, yeah, I don't know. That's
good answer.
Yeah. I could just go on forever. But,
of course.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you're right. Not an easy question. But
here at Red River Podcast, we have no easy questions.
We give them the tough questions here at the Red River Report.
Red River Report, yeah.
Yeah.
Red River. Isn't that a song? Isn't that like a game? Red Rover.
Red Rover.
That's what you should call it. Red Rover is pretty sick.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got so many ideas.
I'm going to get a petition started to call it Red Rover. You could enter in this link below. I'm getting Liam to put in so many links. Like every link, like there's a link to every minute.
We're going to have to make a link tree for this podcast.
Just for this podcast, yeah.
Okay, last thing. If people want to see the stuff that you've talked about or check out your shop, where do they go?
It's you have to knock 4 times and draw a doorway on a wall. I'm just kidding. It's 701 Corden Avenue. 701 Corden Avenue in the Italian district. Is it? Right next, right. It's the Winnipeg's only Italian district, Corden Avenue, 701. It's inside Riley Gray. Shout out Riley Gray. It's the best store. They got books as well. They got clothes. They got candles. They got flowers. They got a nail tech artist, which she's very beautiful, and she does my nails. And they have a florist. And
show them the nails.
Oh yeah,
they look sick.
Yeah.
It's gonna go out of focus.
Okay.
Oh well.
I walked, by the way, for the non-watching viewers. I walked and I showed my nails. They have Riley Gray has everything you need, and it's probably the most fun, colorful store you'll ever see in Winnipeg. They bring in really cool stuff. They're just like me, trying to keep physical media alive. They sell really cool pens. They sell cool stationery stuff. They sell actual books and zines too. Like we're both kind of collaborative efforts.
Nice. Yeah. And your shop is also a nice pop of color in there.
Yeah. It has grass. It has grass.
Does it?
On the ground, yeah. You didn't see the rug? That's grass?
No.
And there's plants on the top.
I just get sensory overload when I go to places like that. I'm like, oh.
It's really fun in there, but you might get sensory overload.
Yeah. I like when there's so much to look at, it just like, it honestly slows the amount that I'm like able to take in details. I take in like one detail every 30 minutes when I'm in a place like that.
That's chill.
Yeah, it's an awesome place. You should check it out for sure. And that's, I think, a good place to end off. Thanks so much for
I think we're going to move on to our 2-hour comedy set.
Mm-hmm.
I also do stand-up comedy, and we're going to do... No, I'm just kidding.
You're first up. Let's get it up. Thanks so much for being on here. This has been the Red River Report. Who should we talk to next? Do you think you would make a good guest on this podcast? Are you interesting, or do you know someone who's interesting? I want to know. I want to talk to him. So let me know. Peace out.
Bye. Thanks for having me.